Yes, welcome back to B&B's Football Happy Hour. I am Bobby, joined as always by my man Brian.
What's going on? Glad to be back for another fun-filled week of football.
That is right, and we are back. We are bearded. We are beautiful, of course. Our beats are by Dunson. We are ready to roll with this Week 6 wrap-up, and we might hit on a couple upcoming games for Week 7. And we're coming at you a little early this week, some scheduling conflicts. So we're taking you by storm Tuesday morning rather than Wednesday morning. We got a Monday Night Football game going on right now. The Cardinals are taking on the Cowboys. It's going to be an exciting one to watch. So hopefully y'all are watching this while we're trying to do the show and watch that at the same time.
Sounds good. Yeah, man. I guess by the time you're listening to this, you'll know the scores. But the Chiefs with another win. So that was
just ended.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of it. I seen our boy CEH had 161 yards, so he kind of silenced us from getting on his case last week. So
we've been waiting for it.
Yeah, I mean that was his first really big game since week 1, I think. So no
and
touchdown.
He found the end zone tonight, but it got called back due to a penalty, and I think Kelsey stole his thunder on the next play.
Yeah, Kelsey. Yeah, I think I saw Kelsey. He did pretty well too. I know he had a fumble. I seen him fumble right before halftime or something that he got stripped, fumbled, but he had a good game. I know Mahomes played pretty well, and Josh Allen looked like – I think the Bills in general kind of struggled on offense from what I've looked at the stats. They didn't have a whole lot of yards going on. I know Josh Allen led them in rushing with like 42 yards, and I think he had 122 yards passing. So they didn't really do a whole lot tonight on offense.
Well, Josh Allen was looking much better in the first half than I mean, he threw a touchdown pass to Stephon Diggs, who Diggs continues to tear it up. That I'm talking thread a needle, put that football exactly where it needed to be. Diggs is sliding out of bounds, keeping his toes in. Defender draped over him. It was an incredible toss. So if you did not see Josh Allen throw his touchdown pass, make sure you check that highlight out to Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, that was a good one. I did see that, highlighted that. That was a good play all around. And I know, I guess as of right now, we got the Cowboys and the Cardinals ready to roll. So we don't really know what's going to go on with that one. But
all right, Brian. So we're a couple weeks in here. Do you have any guys that you are definitely out on right now? Like there are two guys I got in mind that we've talked about numerous times before that after this week I just can't take it anymore, and I just can't see myself putting them in any lineup, and they're probably going to be dropped by me. But before I mention mine, do you have any on your squads?
I mean, it's kind of easy for me to say it now, but I'm out. I mean, I've been out on Zach Ertz for a little while, but he's hurt now, so I think the report just came out today. He's out for a month or 3 to 4 weeks, I think it says. So that makes my decision a little easier, but I've kind of been out on him. I benched him this week for who did I pick up? Oh, I had Jonnu Smith in the one league that I had. So I've been swapping them out, but he didn't do me any good either because he got hurt in the beginning of his game and had one catch for 13 yards or something like that. So, I'm struggling in tight ends pretty much in all my leagues. I'm kind of out on Hayden Hurst too. I mean, I know he did have a decent game this past week, but I mean, I think that's just like the best as it's going to get, and it still wasn't really that great. You know, I think he's going to go back to the 4 and 5 point fantasy weeks coming up soon.
It's so funny because I'm rolling right into a tight end with one of mine as well, and that's Evan Ingram. I mean, Evan Ingram's he's so physically gifted, but he's only had double-digit points once this whole year, and he's supposed to be a tight end 1. He plays like a tight end 31. He's awful. If you can't score points against the Washington football team, I don't know what to tell you. And then T.Y. Hilton, of course, he gives us a little sliver of hope last week with like a 14-point showing, and then decides, I'm just kidding. I'm going to go back to like one catch for 11 yards or whatever nonsense that was he tried to put up. It's embarrassing. I'm out on both those guys.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I think we might have to petition the fantasy football to get rid of the tight end position because I just can't stand. I'd rather have 2 kickers than a tight end because I just can't. I can't find a guy to stick in there. I don't know. I'm just constantly interchanging these guys this year, and it's like I can't hit I don't know. I'm just not hitting on the weeks that they're doing something, and it's just driving me nuts.
All right. Well, before these games tonight, so Kelsey's performance does not count. I doubt whoever the tight end is, Tyler Croft, I think, because Dawson Knox was out, I think, for the Buffalo Bills. He probably didn't do too much. But let me give you the top 10 scoring tight ends for this week. Are you ready?
Go ahead, yeah.
I mean, these are some household names, buddy, okay?
Mm-hmm.
In order, we have Anthony Ferkser. He came in for Jonnu Smith, number one scoring tight end of the week. George Kittle, okay. Trey Burton was third. Darren Fells, Gronk with the resurgence.
Yeah.
Your boy Hayden Hurst.
Yeah.
We have Adam Shaheen, Logan Thomas, Nick Boyle, and Irv Smith. Those for the top 10 scoring tight ends for this week. Is that not the most absurd list of names you've ever heard of?
Yeah, the good thing is I would say about 75% of those guys are probably still available in your fantasy leagues. Besides,
oh my gosh, yes, Irv Smith, Nick Boyle, Logan Thomas, probably Adam Shaheen, Darren Fells, maybe,
Fells,
Anthony
Burton.
Ferkser. Now we'll say if Jonnu's out, I think you have to pick up Ferkser. He's shown that he's going to be the guy. 8 catches for 113 yards and a touchdown, something along those lines. Darren Fells has played admirably whenever Jordan Akins is out, the tight end for the Houston Texans. Trey Burton, he's getting all the looks. He had a rushing touchdown along with a receiving touchdown for Indianapolis this past weekend. He's a guy there. But Adam Shaheen, Nick Boyle, Irv Smith, you can't go that route. You can't fire them up. But those other guys, if you're in a pinch, if you're hurting like you are, dealing with some injuries, some bye weeks, you might have to throw one of those guys in there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably look at Ferkser or maybe Trey Burton. I don't know. It just seems like Rivers just loves the tight end no matter who it is. But I know Mo Alley Cox, I think he's been out for a couple of weeks, right? So that's kind of the resurgence of Trey Burton, I think. So
even Jack Doyle finally caught a touchdown.
Yeah, Jack Doyle, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. But, I mean, if John is going to be out, I mean, I guess Ferkser would probably be my first choice with those guys, I would think. He'd probably get the most targets, I guess. But, again, I don't know. It's just tough. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that aren't getting really much production from the tight end position unless you have Kittle or Kelsey. The other 10 people in your league, if you're playing in a 12-man league, are probably just getting a handful of points every week probably from your fantasy tight end. So, yeah, it's tough. And I was going to pick up Irv Smith. I listened to some kind of fantasy football podcast. I forget what website it was on. And they were talking about Irv Smith, and I didn't pick him up. And I don't know.
The Vikings, they want to run the ball every play. They know they can't. So they're going to run it until they can't. And then they only want to throw it to Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. They don't want to throw it to anybody else. I mean, think about Kyle Rudolph. He's been a tight end there, and he was a fantasy pick every year for, it feels like, a dozen years. But he's very touchdown dependent. I mean, if he's not getting you a bunch of yards, he's not getting you a bunch of catches. You're just hoping that Rudolph can be a big body in a red zone and jump up there, get a jump ball, and bring you down 6 points. But without that, and Irv Smith, it's too risky. There's not enough upside there. Yeah,
and it's tough this week now too, because I mean, a lot of people were still starting Ertz, and a lot of people are starting Jonnu Smith, and now they're hurt. So there's even more people now, trying to find a tight end.
It's going to get interesting.
It's definitely getting interesting. And then again, you don't know what the whole situation of what team's gonna, I don't know, get their games postponed or whatever. You still have all that to. Are you
telling me I may have to start Evan Ingram again?
Yeah, you might have to. I don't know. and that's coming pretty quick because he'll play on Thursday night. So
that's going to be a nightmare if I have to do that.
Yeah, that'll be tough. But, yeah, that could happen. All
right, let's get to these breakdowns. We're going to start with the Texans and the Titans. This was an awesome game to watch. Back and forth, lots of scoring, went into overtime. Apparently, Brandon Cooks, all he needed to get going was for Bill O'Brien to get fired. I know how much you love Bill O'Brien. Yeah. He's out the door. Texans, now they didn't win this one, but they played pretty darn well. And Brandon Cooks is lighting it up 2 weeks in a row. He's emerging as a wide receiver too. Now, granted, only been 2 weeks in a row, but 70% of his yearly production came in the last 2 weeks. Deshaun Watson looks better. He threw 4 touchdowns to 4 different players. So I'm feeling not David Johnson. He's old, but I'm feeling better about all the position players for Houston now that O'Brien's gone. So hopefully they can turn it around. And my man Cooks, who is still on the bench in quite a few leagues, can do something for me.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, the Texans, yeah, they look pretty solid. I know they're not getting the wins. I mean, this was a good game, but yeah, I don't know. They just seem to be playing better. I mean, Deshaun Watson looks a lot better than he did in the beginning of the year. He had 4 touchdowns. I don't know, man. Cooks, like you said, I don't have him in any of my leagues, but I mean, if I could, I would try to pick him up, but he's not going to be there. But yeah, 9 catches, 68 yards. I mean, that's enough production. I mean, for me as a flex, at least, if you had to.
Oh, we got a touchdown. Cooks did.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you're looking at 20 plus fantasy points. I mean, that's great. And then Derrick Henry, I mean, he had a giant game, 212 yards. I know a lot of it came on that 94-yard run that he had. So I don't know. He killed me. Unfortunately, I played Derrick Henry on the wrong week. I played him in about 3 of my 5 teams. So he's taking me out.
It is very difficult to think in the history of football. Now, listen, I'm not crowning Derrick Henry anything or at all like that.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to find a size and speed combination like he is. Now, he just went for 212 yards, I think it was. He also ran for 200 yards in the game last season and in 2018. So that makes him the first player in NFL history to have 3 consecutive seasons with 200 rushing yards in a game. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, and Tannehill, he surprised me. I mean, this guy just continues to put up the stats, man, every week. And just general football wise, I mean, the Titans have surprised me this year. I mean, they roughed up the Bills last week, and I mean, they're a tough team. Yeah, they're going to be tough to beat, man. I thought, especially last week with the whole coming back from the COVID situation, they were going to look a little flat, and they did not. And they continued kind of putting up the points this week. I know that defense is a little skeptical, I guess. They're giving up quite a few points, but the offense looks good, man. I mean, if Tannehill keeps throwing for 350-plus yards and 3 and 4 touchdowns every week, and you got Derrick Henry, it's going to be tough to beat.
Your boy Tannehill is cooking. He's got 71% completion percentage on the year. He's thrown for at least 3 touchdowns in 3 separate games. So he is doing awesome. And one thing that impressed me, A.J. Brown, coming back from injury, he doesn't seem like he's missed a beat. And he's doing it without the big play. If you remember, that was a big issue I had with A.J. Brown coming into this year was his efficiency last year was absurd. I mean, he broke long touchdowns constantly, and we knew that wasn't going to happen. Well, it hasn't happened. We were right. However, he's still being pretty productive when he's on the field. Adam Humphries, who's been on the COVID list, he has at least 6 targets in every game he's played this year. So that could be a nice waiver wire pickup for you for these bye week fill-ins, injuries you're dealing with. Maybe just lost your flex, something like that to an injury. So you could do worse than Adam Humphries, especially like we said with Tannehill tearing it up. But big loss for the Titans that people were probably going to let slip under the rug. Taylor Lewan, starting tackle for them, tore his ACL. So that is big-time news and hopefully doesn't affect the offense too much. But he's a big boy and a big-time player for them.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't. I mean, losing a tackle is tough in the NFL. I mean, they're probably one of the most important positions, I guess, as far as being on a football team. Especially when you run like that with Derrick Henry. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they have a solid backup. We'll see. But, I don't know, man. I hope it doesn't affect them too much because they're hot, man, and they're rolling. So I don't want to see them, start tanking it, I guess, just because they lost a tackle.
I gotcha. Next, we will cover the Chicago Bears and Carolina Panthers game. I'm telling you, man, the Bears are the worst 5-1 team ever. I cannot believe they're 5-1, and they're getting it done, but they are losing the eye test. If you watch them play, you do not look at them and think, boy, these guys, they're one of the best teams in football. You just don't think it. And there was a play sequence during this game that perfectly illustrates the Bears being a 5-1 team. All right. So the Bears take a timeout. All right. They're in the red zone. They take a timeout. They come out of the timeout. They jog up to the line of scrimmage. They get a penalty for delay of game.
Yeah, I think I did see that.
That is getting a delay of game after coming out of a timeout is an enormous no-no. They back the ball up 5 yards. Next play, Nick Foles threads the needle and throws a touchdown pass to Cole Kmet. I mean, that is an absurd sequence of plays, but that is the Bears this year. That is what they're doing. It makes no sense to me. It cannot last. I mean, if you told me that the Bears were going to end up 5-11, I would believe you. I mean, 5-1 right now, I would believe you if you told me they're going to end up 5-11. Anyway.
I mean, that was I was going to say that was my notes right here. It just said, I don't know how they're 5-1 because I watched the game probably for 15 minutes and saw some highlights, and I don't know. They just barely win every week. I mean, yeah, the win's a win, but like you said, they just don't pass the eye test. Foles, I mean, I don't know. Just he threw under 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
He's always good for a turnover too. Always.
Yeah, he always has a turnover too. And I mean, from what I saw, Bridgewater didn't look too hot this game. He didn't throw any touchdowns. Had 2 picks. Barely completed 50% of his passes. He did run for 48 yards, which I guess kind of, if you're starting Teddy Bridgewater in fantasy, kind of helped you a little bit. But yeah, just not much going on in this game, man. Both teams are kind of, I don't know. Even if the Bears are 5-1, like you said, I can see them missing the playoffs or just going on a bad streak here because they're not just going to keep squeaking these wins out every week. It's going to come down to some tough games, and I just don't think, stuff's going to start going the other way, man. And I think, I could see them, maybe only winning a few more games this year because they're not that good.
Now, David Montgomery just missed having a big game for you. I know I started him in a league. He went 19 carries, 58 yards. That's not great. He added 4 catches for 39 yards. We talked about the passing game work being crucial for him last week, especially now, Tariq Cohen's been out for a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. He missed a touchdown that would have given him that big game you were looking for. Unfortunately, Nick Foles had a QB sneak on the very next play. Allen Robinson battled against James Bradbury the whole game, the corner for Carolina Panthers, who's good. And the Panthers' run defense is atrocious, but their pass defense isn't too bad. And Bradbury is one of the best corners in the league. He's averaging the 11th fewest yards per completion to any receiver that he faces. Yet, Allen Robinson, I didn't blow up or anything, but he still got you more than 10 points in a PPR. And that's, if you're going up against a top-notch corner, you're happy to get double digits. Now, you're not thrilled, but you're glad you're not throwing up a single-digit game or anything. And A-Rob, to me, is absolutely matchup proof. DJ Moore, on the other hand, had 11 targets, but his efficiency is awful. 5 catches from 11 targets. 93 yards, which you're looking for, is good. And Mike Davis, he did okay, got another touchdown, but nothing to get you too fired up about.
Yeah, Davis did okay. Nothing special. He had the touchdown and more. Yeah, I mean, 93 yards on, I think he had 4 or 5 catches, right? So I saw him drop a touchdown. He dropped a touchdown and he dropped a pass in the 4th quarter that could have tied the game. So I don't know. He's going to start losing targets if you're dropping touchdowns and dropping crucial plays in the 4th quarter. So
especially Robbie Anderson breathing down your neck.
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, he's leading the charge anyway. He's not breathing down anybody's neck. Robbie Anderson's the number 1 there.
Yeah,
and he played well. He did okay.
Mm-hmm. But that's a quick way to lose your 11 targets. You keep dropping touchdown passes. So
right.
Yeah, man, just nothing special in that game. I don't know. I just don't know. Yeah, the Bears just confuse me. I just don't get it.
Next game was extremely annoying for me. I'm sure you as well. The Ravens-Eagles.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a joke. It went back and forth between neither team wanting to win and neither team wanting to lose. It was so odd. The Ravens were at like a 17-0 lead. They should have ran away with it, but then they were done. They stopped playing and let Philly come back in it. When Philly's going to tie the game, going for 2 at the end, and I know I texted you while it was happening. I said, they're going for a 2-point conversion here. They're going to try to hand it off to Boston Scott. It's not going to work. And what did they do? They didn't even get a chance to try to hand it off because they ran into each other and fall on the ground. It's so infuriating and annoying. You knew exactly what was going to happen, and it did. And it's just, gosh, it was awful.
Yeah. The only thing that might be good is you get to play the Giants on Thursday night, so you can kind of wash your mouth of that game, hopefully. But
I'm not
again,
putting any money on it. I'm not putting any
no,
money on that.
no,
No way.
definitely not. I mean, definitely not now. You have Zach Ertz out 3 to 4 weeks. They said Miles Sanders is done for at least a couple weeks.
Yep.
Jalen Mills, the corner safety / he's out. So Eagles are now left with 2 offensive starters, Carson Wentz and Jason Kelsey. All the rest of the guys are backups and possibly third-string players because you have both tight ends. Yeah, maybe Deshaun and maybe Alshon Jeffrey. I don't know. I mean, they practiced apparently last week, so maybe they'll come back. But
yeah, but what are they going to do first week back?
Yeah, not much. But, I mean, it is the Giants, so you never know. We'll see. They could look better than they should, I guess, against them. But, I mean, I'm kind of liking this Travis Fulgham cat from Old Dominion. He continues to three straight weeks with touchdown.
Yeah.
Kid looks hungry, man. He looks like he wants to make a team, and he's trying to prove a point. So, yeah, I like that. I mean –
He's got a spot. There's no way they can take his spot from him. He is starting in 3 wide sets no matter what. They cannot take that from him. And honestly, he should be starting in 2 wide sets because who knows what Alshon's got? Who knows what Deshaun's got? Let that boy get out there and let him do his thing. He's been playing hard, and he's literally the only bright spot except for a few long Miles Sanders runs that this offense has seen.
Yeah, and I think Wentz is playing better, but it's just tough. I mean –
it depends on the play.
Yeah, it depends on the play. He makes some mistakes. He fumbled, which cost you. But then again, the third play of the game, he throws like a 50-yard pass to John Hightower, and he drops it, which would have been like an 85-yard touchdown. Miles Sanders dropped a touchdown. Jake Elliott missed the field goal. So, yeah, I mean, there's 17 points right there. I mean, so when you look at it, if you make 3 different plays, the Eagles win this game by like 15 points. So, I mean, to me, the Ravens didn't really look that great. Lamar Jackson with the sidearm throw. I don't know. He throws like sidearm every pass. It's kind of weird. He had a couple good runs. I'll give him that. But
he rushed for 100. He rushed for 100. All of the other running backs combined rushed for, I think, 62 yards. And
when Ingram got hurt too. So, I mean, there's another guy.
Right. They still have no idea what they're doing with that 3-headed monster. Maybe it's a 2-headed monster now with Dobbins and Gus Edwards, but they'll probably bring up the little scat back. I can't even remember his name off the top of my head right now, just to muddy it up a little bit more. But Lamar still, once again, did not look good throwing the ball, and you should look good throwing the ball against Philadelphia. So I am a little bit worried about him. And so last week, I gave you a little fantasy lesson on Miles Sanders and how you need to look into the stats to know why certain stats are. Was it 7.6 yards a rush he averaged last week against the Steelers, but 74 came in 1 run? Same thing happened this week, 74 yards in a run. He fumbled at the end. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside recovers for a touchdown. He also had another 26-yard run in the game, I think. But regardless, same deal. He averaged 2 yards a carry outside of the big runs. But that's not what I'm getting at. Fantasy football is such a fickle mistress. One play can completely change everything. I got Miles Sanders in a couple leagues. In 2 of the leagues I have Miles Sanders in. If he makes that catch in the end zone that he dropped for a touchdown, I win 2 of my leagues. He doesn't make that one catch, and I lose them both.
Yeah.
One play in fantasy football is all it takes to win and lose. And people wonder why we're so nuts, and fantasy football drives us insane. That's why. One play can have you win or lose, and it is maddening.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one because I have him in a few leagues too. And, I mean, if he catches that touchdown, you're obviously getting 6 for the touchdown, 1 for the catch plus the yards, so you're looking at a 10-plus point play. And
that's right.
Yeah, I mean, 10 points in fantasy is a lot. I mean, when you're playing with, guys that, that watch a lot of football and know what they're doing. So, yeah, it's tough, man. And it's the Eagles. That just seems like the story of their whole year. It's just injuries and just some of these plays. Every week they're just missing 2 to 3 plays. And, I mean, they could be – I don't know. I mean, they could have a winning record. They only have 1 win, but they could very easily have 4 wins if they make, like, a handful of plays in this football season, and they would have 3 or 4 wins right now. So it's
everything evens out because they were getting those plays during that Super Bowl run.
Yeah,
and now they're not getting them. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
the universe works that way. Last year was one of my best years in fantasy I've ever had, bringing in titles, all kinds of money. This year, the injuries and everything have not allowed it to happen for me, and I am not doing great in my season-long leagues. My leagues that I get to, my daily leagues and stuff like that, I'm doing much better. But Richard Rodgers, go ahead, pick him up if Ertz is going to be out for a while. I'm pretty sure Eagles run more 2 tight end sets than any other team in the league. If Dallas Goedert's coming back, that doesn't really hurt you with Rodgers because they can juggle those 2 tight ends. So pick him up if you absolutely need help. Maybe I'll start him over Evan Ingram.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be too bad. I don't know, man. Evan Ingram's just a mystery to me too. Like you said,
It's crazy.
All the talent, but just I don't know, tough.
Next game, Falcons and Vikings. Apparently, the recipe for wins in the NFL is to fire your head coach because the Falcons did it, and here we go. Now they're winning ball games. Matt Ryan is a completely different quarterback with Julio on the field and when he's not on the field. When Julio's on the field, Ryan is nasty. He had, 300 and plus yards passing, throwing a rock all over the field. Gurley kicked us off again because he goes and shows what he can be, but then last week, and then decides, well, I'll get 20 carries for 47 yards and 30 catches for 20. That's not going to do it. And Julio, I really don't get Julio. He can be hurt and hobbled, and they put him out there, and you think he might be healthy. You don't really know, and he's a decoy, and he gets 1 catch for 13 yards. Or you can think, well, I don't know, he might be healthy. I can't tell. And then he goes nuts like he did this past week for 8 catches, 137, and 2 touchdowns. I have no idea what Julio is going to show up day in and day out. Obviously, if he's playing, he's in your lineup. But, man, he costs you some weeks, and then he'll go and win you others. So that guy drives me crazy.
Yeah, he's another guy, man. But like you said, you got to leave him in there. You can't take him out because you don't want to miss this kind of week. You can't, I don't know, put him on the bench and throw somebody else in there, and he goes off for 30 fantasy points. So, yeah, you got to throw him in there. I mean, my thoughts on this game, like you said, fire your coach, you win a game. So, Falcons were winning this game, and I thought, oh man, I was like, if I could bet on this, I wonder what the odds would be for the Vikings to come back and win this game or something like that. Or like $5 or $10 on it to win a ton of money. But yeah,
Dan Quinn's out, so they should be good.
Yeah, so I guess they kind of broke that curse a little bit because they won this game when they were actually winning. So yeah, Todd Gurley, he's a guy I got in a few of my leagues, but I mean I like the 20 carries, but 47 yards. But he blew up last week. I guess it all averages out. I don't know. He's another guy. I don't know. I just can't take him out of the lineup. You just don't want to miss those weeks, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I know one guy in one of my leagues, he's pretty stacked at wide receiver, and he was like, you know what? I don't know if I can trust Julio, and he left Julio on the bench this week.
Yeah, it's tough, man. You don't want to – that's one thing to me. I mean, if you're going to lose, I just want to lose with my best guys, I don't want to –
I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't want to look back on that Tuesday morning or, Sunday night, and you're looking through your team, and you see those guys that are kind of great out there at the bottom, and you're like, oh, Julio Jones, 30-something points, and you're like, damn, I could have won, instead of sweating out a Monday night game for a few points with some other guy, you could have won by 25 points. So it's tough. To me, Justin Jefferson, I mean, he's a stud. I mean, this kid he's pretty amazing. As a rookie, another 166 yard, 2 touchdowns. And to me, Alexander Madison was a complete, I don't know, man. He was just a complete bust this week. Everybody thought he was going to go in there and light the world on fire. I mean, especially you're going up against the Falcons. It was like the perfect fantasy matchup. And he only gets 10 carries and 26 yards.
I would love to know the percent of people who started Madison.
That's what I mean.
In daily fantasy because he was so cheap. Everybody put him in there, and what's he end up with? A couple carries for 40 yards or something. That was it. I mean, it was. Yeah,
he had 10 carries for 26 yards, and then he did miss out on 2 touchdowns. I think there was like a penalty on one, and then something happened. I don't know, but.
Now, Adam Thielen, his day was saved on the final drive. I think he had 2 of his 3 catches on the final drive, and one of them was a touchdown. Mm-hmm. But back to my boy, Justin Jefferson. Mm-hmm. He's very feast or famine. If you look, his 3 lowest scoring fantasy games, if you take those 3 and group them together, and the group is 3 largest games together, highest scoring fantasy days, he's averaging 5.5 points just about on his lowest 3 games, and he's averaging 27.6 points in his highest scoring game. So he's either going to get you 5 points or 30 points. You don't really know. However, I will say, again, we keep coming back to these bold predictions. Or maybe this might not have been a bold prediction for mine, but I did say I thought by the end of the year, Justin Jefferson would be the leading receiver for this team. He would take over for Adam Thielen, and a few more of these monster blow-ups, and I'm going to be sitting pretty when the end of the season rolls around. We start bringing these little comments back up in these predictions. It's going to look pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Jefferson's a stud, man. And Thielen, I don't know. To me,
go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, to me, Thielen, like, he just needs to be, I don't know. He needs that Diggs, or he needs like a kid like Jefferson. Like, he's just not meant. I just don't know if he's meant to be a number one. I don't know. I mean, he likes kind of just like flying under the radar a little bit. It seems like he needs that other guy out there. To me, he can't really do it on his own. It seems like.
Yep. I think you heard that somewhere.
Yeah. I like Jefferson though. He looks.
Oh yeah.
Kind of hard to miss. I mean, everybody kind of knocked him like, oh, in LSU, he only came out of the slot and he's only a slot receiver. But I don't know. He looks pretty damn good.
He's one of the better route runners in the league already. He's 21 years old.
Yeah, kid's a stud.
Anyway, Brown Steelers, Cleveland, welcome back to earth. You won 4-1, and you didn't even look like a college football team in this one. Whew, it was rough. Baker Mayfield, he was way overmatched. I think he had 6 fantasy points. He was benched at halftime in the third quarter. He looked lost. Nobody did anything. Kareem Hunt couldn't even put up anything against the Steelers. Austin Hooper, though, tight ends, here we go again, somehow managed to put up, I think, 5 catches and 50-some yards, which in today's tight end world, you'll take 10 PPR points whenever you can get it. So that was a weird thing. I think he's got 5 catches in each of the last 3 games. So maybe he's really trying to push to be back in a top 10, top 12 tight end mix. The Steelers' defense is ridiculous. Their running game was all they needed. Gave it to James Conner. He got 100 yards and a touchdown. And Big Ben really didn't throw too much, didn't have to. Chase Claypool did get 4 catches for 74 yards. And James Washington, he played pretty well. I think he had 100 yards or so, maybe a touchdown. Juju, though. Ooh, no Juju from Juju this week. He was bad.
Yeah, man, I think – yeah, Juju's a guy, didn't we say? I don't know. I think he was one of those guys, too, that might have came up with, like, he was overrated, or I don't know, something like that. One of those episodes we did, I think he was on there. Overrated.
Personally, I was kind of high on Juju coming in. That prediction is not looking very good so far. Maybe
I forget. Yeah, but
he blew up week 1. Him and Ben were on it, cooking, but I don't know. We'll see how the rest of the year pans out. But it's tough now with Juju because you got Deontay Johnson who can produce. Now Chase Claypool, he is a physical freak.
Yeah.
He's extremely talented. They're throwing him the ball. He's getting rushes and doing everything. And then now we see if Johnson goes out, James Washington can step right in. Don't really miss a beat. So I don't know. It's going to be tough for Juju to get back in the wide receiver 1, even kind of wide receiver 2 conversation.
Yeah, he's having a tough year. Just the Steelers in general. I mean, their defense is nasty. I don't know, man. They're going to be tough to beat. They're undefeated. I don't know, man. They're tough. Mayfield, he looked like he was panicking out there, just running around, tossing the ball up, 2 picks. He got benched, and I think they took him out in the third quarter. So he got the old Jimmy G treatment, I guess, from last week. So
much deserved, though.
Much deserved, yeah. I mean, he looked – and this is a game I know we talked about last week. I thought, like you said, I mean, the Steelers are great against the run. So this is a game, we were saying, we thought Mayfield kind of had to win this game for him, and you lose by 31 points. So not looking too good for Baker. I don't think they're going to bench him for the rest of the year, but I don't know. And again, I know he was a little bit banged up heading into this week with that rib injury, so I don't know. I don't know how bad it is or not. I mean, we're not around anybody on that team, so could have been a little bit due to the injury. Could have been just he's just not that good this year. I don't know. It's just a little bit of both probably to me. But again, Odell Beckham, 2 catches, 25 yards. I'm over him. So I could have mentioned him. I did trade him like 3 weeks ago, so I've been over him. But yeah, I like Claypool, man. That kid's good, man. He had another 4, like you said, 4 catches, 74 yards, and a rushing touchdown. So, and he should have had another touchdown. I seen he had a catch and he got tackled on like the 1 yard line or 1 inch line, and then Connor ran it in on the next play. So
you got it.
I mean, you're looking at another huge week like he had against the Eagles. I mean, you're looking at another 2 touchdowns, 74 yards, 4 catches. So I mean, yeah, he's definitely somebody now that's probably on mostly everybody's fantasy team at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, Steelers are tough. I don't know what else to say, man. They're probably one of my top, I don't know, 3 or 4 teams, I guess, in the league right now.
Yeah, I mean that defense is whoo. All right, next, Battle of the Juggernauts, and I emphasize the knots. The Washington football team took on the New York Giants. The Washington still has no idea what they're doing at running back. 1 week they think it's Peyton Barber in the beginning of the year. Then they think it's Antonio Gibson. Then they think it's J.D. McKissick now, I think. McKissick had, I think, 1 less carry than Antonio Gibson, but he had more catches. McKissick is probably the best bet in a PPR league to start consistently because he has a pretty good PPR floor. He had 6 catches for 43 yards. He added 41 rushing yards on top of that. Not too shabby, especially from what you're asking or who you're asking it from, a Washington running back. They had 7 – now, obviously, McLaurin is still doing his thing. He's, didn't blow up or anything. But they had 7 wide receivers with at least 20 – or I should say 7 receivers with at least 20 yards receiving. So they had 7 guys on their team with at least 20 yards receiving. I mean, that is really dishing the ball out, and that makes it very difficult for one guy to really step up and ball out. And like I said before, I think McLaurin is hurt not having his boy Haskins there. They played together in college, so that's a tough one. And on the Giants side of the ball, Slayton, he salvaged his day with a touchdown, and not that it was a great day, but, he saved you if you had to start him. He has every receiving touchdown for the Giants this year, 3 of them. The whole team has 3 3 passing touchdowns. Slayton's got them all. Devontae Freeman, he did okay. He got 61 yards on the ground. Not bad. You'll take it. But he didn't really have any catches. I think he had 1 for -4 yards or something. He's not great, but he'll do it. He'll get you enough points if he gets some catches or if he gets in the end zone. So he's very dependent on those catches and the touchdowns because he's definitely not going to rush for enough yards to get you enough points that you want from your flex guy. Hopefully not RB2 guy, but with all these injuries, who knows? He might be RB2 for some folks. Might be RB2 for one of my teams this week. We'll have to see. And the Giants, they've only scored over 20 points once this whole season. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, Giant. I mean, both of these teams stink. I mean, I didn't watch a whole lot of this game, but from what I did see, I mean, Kyle Allen gave the Giants 14 other 20 points. So I don't know. I mean, really the Giants probably scored like 6 points. Their offense actually scored 6 points. I mean, he gifted them 14. Yeah, he's just not that good, man. I don't know. If it's either Kyle Allen or Dwayne Haskins, I mean, I don't know why they would. Haskins has more skills, I guess, to me. I don't know why you wouldn't just roll him out there and just let him do his thing. At least him and McLaurin have that relationship. I mean, like you said, McLaurin still had a decent day. I mean, 7 catches, 74 yards. So you'll take the 14 and 0.4 fantasy points. But, yeah, man, it's just tough. And like I said, the Giants, they joined the ranks of the 1-win NFC East team. So I guess they picked up their first win. I think the Redskins only have 1 win, right? Eagles only have 1 win. Cowboys are playing right now. They have 2 wins. So it's tough, man.
That's a murderer's row there, buddy.
Somebody's got to go to the playoffs, but I would just give it to somebody else. They should just forfeit their seed and give it to another team.
Yes, agreed. Is this the worst division in the history of football?
It could be, yeah. I mean, if they keep rolling the way they are, yeah. I mean, if
it has to be, if not number 1, it's for sure top 3. I can't imagine a division being worse than this.
I mean, it's pretty safe to say that whoever wins this division is not going to have a winning record. I think 7-9 might win the division if a team goes 7-9. I don't even know if a team is going to go 8-8.
The
I
only
don't
hope
know.
they have is playing each other, and maybe they get lucky and win a couple games again. One team wins a couple games against
Against
division
division,
opponents.
yeah, that's
That's
true.
it.
Yeah, and they got a big juggernaut game, Giants Eagles on Thursday night. So one of them has to get their second win.
No, they don't. We learned
Yeah,
that
they
with the
could
Bengals
tie.
game.
Yeah, they could
Bengals
tie.
tie.
They could tie. They could tie.
Gosh. All right. So in
Hopefully not.
what was probably the ugliest game of the week, the Broncos took on the New England Patriots. Drew Lock was not good. Cam Newton was not good. Philip Lindsay did get over 100 yards. And your boy Tim Patrick got 100 yards again. He's got it. Tim Patrick's got at least 14 points in the last 3 games he's played. Okay, that's I don't know. That's impressive, I think, especially with the quarterbacks they've been rolling out. Like, was it Brett Rippin and Drew Lock now coming off injury? That's pretty good. The Patriots scored 12 total points. That is gross. Like I said earlier, Cam did not look good throwing. He did get 76 yards on the ground and a touchdown. James White is the only viable starter right now for them simply because he's getting passes funneled to him underneath. I think he led the Patriots in catches and targets. Edelman, there was nothing there for him. It's just, it's not looking good there.
Yeah, this game was tough, man. I mean, Cam, like you said, he looked pretty miserable, man, coming back from, I guess he had COVID, so he looked pretty bad. Broncos pressured him a ton. I know he took a lot of hate. He had got sacked 4 or 5 times. He just didn't look that great. But neither did any quarterback. I mean, Locke, they both looked pretty terrible this week. They both threw under 200 yards. Both had 2 picks. I think Newton fumbled too on a strip sack. So I mean, just an ugly game all around. I mean, 18-12. It's just kind of a weird score to begin with. Jerry Jeudy, I mean, he didn't do nothing. I mean, he's kind of disappointing me lately. I know they've rolled out some pretty pedestrian quarterbacks there, like you said, with the Brett Rippin and the other guy. Who the other guy they rolled out there?
Yeah, Driscoll.
Yeah, Driscoll. So Locke, I mean, I guess he'll get back into it. He looked pretty good last year, but like you said, it was a small sample size from Locke. I know we've talked about that a lot, so I don't know, man. We'll see. But yeah, neither one of these teams impressed me at all. And like you said, I kind of thought the Patriots would ride Damian Harris a little bit, and he goes for 6 carries for 19 yards. So after having, I think, 17 carries, 100 yards the week before. So it's just weird. Belichick just does those weird things with those running backs, man.
James White's the only guy you can count on, I think, week in, week out.
Yeah, and Cam, like you said, I mean, Cam is basically their goal line back, so he's always going to get he's always going to have those rushing out touchdown opportunities, but I don't know, man, he's just not getting it done through the air, so I'm not impressed with either one of these teams.
I got a deep dive for you. You ready?
All right.
Again, tight end landscape is very bare. Talk to me about Albert Okwuegbunam. I have absolutely no idea how to say that dude's last name. Tight end for the Broncos. The reason I bring him up is Fant is hurt, and if Noah Fant cannot play, this guy was Drew Lock's teammate in college. He was Drew Lock's tight end, and we saw what I'm telling you. I've mentioned this before. It was very easy to know that McLaurin was going to be the number 1 receiver when he's got his college quarterback throwing him the football last year in Washington and again this year. I'm not telling you this guy's going to be the next Terry McLaurin running out there. However,